Welcome back to Your Average Witch, where every Tuesday we talk about witch life, witch stories, and sometimes a little witchcraft. This week I'm talking with Juliette, a sewing witch. We talked about water, sewing, and science. Before we get to the stories, I just want to let you know that I'm opening up more subscription spots for my spell boxes in 2025. Every month you'll get a box with a piece of Clever Kim's Curios jewelry or a handmade altar tool, the monthly spell, ingredients to do the spell, a crystal of some kind, and a little treat. I've also been known to include things that I just like and want to share. You'll also get access to the monthly Magic Marco Polo group and the private Facebook group. If you're interested in joining Hive House officially, go to crepuscularconjuration.com or click the link in show notes. Now let's get to the stories. Juliette, hello, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kim. Happy to be here.
For my listeners, usually I record in my little recording closet in my house, but I am actually in a space with this person that I'm talking to with my body. Can you please introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are and what you do and where they can find you?
Sure. I am Juliette Kowal. I'm also known as Seamstress Juliette. My pronouns are she, her, and I have a pretty varied background. So I'm not sure. I could do my 30-second who I am.
Elevator pitch?
Yeah, my elevator pitch. So I am Seamstress Juliette. I've been sewing since childhood. I've been writing since my teens. And I took the writing into a career. So I got a degree in journalism. I spent 30 years as an editor. I was the senior editor in a newsroom on 9/11. I had a garden magazine, co-founded a garden magazine for 5 years.
That's very DL witchy.
Yeah. And, but I never stopped sewing. So once that career kind of was over, it had run its course, I got to be Seamstress Juliette.
That's nice.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that.
Yay. Do you call yourself a witch?
I do. I self-identify as a witch. More often, though, because it has such a stigma, I more often identify as a scientist because not all scientists are witches, but all witches are scientists.
Mm-hmm.
So I will identify as both.
I thought that was that's something really cool that when we first met, we just met last week.
I think so.
At a panel that I was on, which I think that was maybe not a panel I should have been on.
I think it was a very useful panel, and I think you had a lot to add to it.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Well, thanks.
Absolutely.
Because I felt like I should not have been there.
No, you should have been there. Absolutely.
Oh, well, thanks. Good.
Yeah.
But anyway, we just met, and that's one of the first things you said was that, hey, and also, by the way, everyone, that's where I first publicly announced to people I don't know at all that I'm a witch. Anyway, so Juliette came up to me afterward and she said, hey, I'm a witch too. And then she said the whole, not all scientists are witches, but all witches are scientists. And I thought that was so cool. And then I was like, hey, come be on my podcast. And she said, yes.
And here we are. Oh, but if you think about it, and I prepared some examples, but when you think about it, crystals, a lot of witches use crystals. What is that? Rocks. That's geology.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about herbs, that's horticulture, agriculture. Astrology is astronomy. Healing is medicine. Cooking and baking even. You use chemistry.
Oh, man. That's why I don't bake.
Weather, meteorology. It's just...
even like energy fields.
Exactly. Life force.
Quantum physics.
And in fact, check this out. I figured out this one. Mm-hmm. Chaos theory. What was it? Edward Lorenz, 1961 at MIT, using mathematical methods, came up with chaos theory. Chaos theory. What is chaos theory other than tarot cards? The randomness, but with meaning.
That's interesting.
So, witches are scientists.
Hundo P agree. Do you have any family history with witchcraft, even if your family would say, how dare you, like I told you mine would? They would be not pleased to have that assigned to them, but do you have any witchy things that happened when you were a kid?
Growing up, we did live in a house that had spirits. And what was interesting about it is only the women were aware of them. Mostly it was footsteps on the second floor, but it was interesting. What was super interesting is that even the child women, my nieces, when they slept on that second floor, they would hear these footsteps. One of them wouldn't even sleep up there at all.
I wouldn't, probably.
Yeah, right. So there is unacknowledged witchcraft in the family. There, at least, if nothing else, than sensing of spirits, which I don't have.
Me neither.
Yeah. I would love to.
Yeah. I think I want to.
I don't know that I want to actually talk to spirits, but I would love to see auras. And I know that you can teach yourself, because you can teach yourself anything, because it's science. But yeah, so it's there unacknowledged.
Yeah. Do you have any specific stories?
So I was because it was a big family and I was one of the youngest ones, when the nieces and nephews came along, they were pretty close in age to me. And so I spent a lot of time with them. And I remember one night in particular, I had I think my niece was probably 4 or 5 at the time. I had her in bed with me. We were going to sleep in the second story. And she said, "Oh, somebody's coming up the stairs." And I said, "Oh, that's probably, just my brother. He, his room's on the second story too." And she's like, "Yep, I can hear him coming across the hall. I can hear them. Hey, they're stopping at the door." And I look at the door, nobody's there. But, she had followed his footsteps, and others had heard that too. I think at least one of my sisters had heard those footsteps across the second story.
But no men heard it.
No. And in fact, the men poo-pooed it for the most part, because they didn't hear it.
So it definitely doesn't exist because no men have experienced it.
Exactly. But that's another one of those, that's an energy field, electromagnetics, or science.
Do you have any consistent things that you do, any daily practices that you'll share?
I meditate a lot. I've been meditating since the 80s.
Back in that time. The fun times?
Yeah. Childhood almost. No. I've been meditating forever. I've also been journaling a lot. I journaled for about 35 years, and then I kind of let it lapse. But I even journaled during a dream journaling phase. And that was interesting because so I would have a pad of paper on the bed with me, and as I, came up from a dream, I would write it down. Well, when I was into it the heaviest, I would have 3 dreams every night. They would all be different, but they would all have the same message. And it was as if my subconscious or guides or masters or whatever were telling me, here's your lesson for today. and then they would go, "Did you get it the first time? Because here it is a second time."
Why don't other actual human teachers do that? In case you didn't get it in the first one, they rephrase.
Actually, the education system has come around to do that.
That would be great. I wish it had happened when I was in
then
school.
I would have, anyway. But then I would have the third dream, and it would be, okay, this is your final chance to get this message.
Just to make sure you get it.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a fascinating time to just delve into that. It was about 6 months, and it was good. So meditation is currently a big part of, and I also think of fitness, both body and mind, and spirituality as witchcraft practices, scientific practices. Fitness is based on nutrition and physiology. Both of those are sciences. I'm going to pound this science thing.
Fine with me.
Because it's all it is.
Come on here with an agenda. I'll let you just tell everybody about it. It's fine.
And I think that's what scares people about witchcraft, is because it is so all encompassing. It is nature. It is weather. It is metallurgy. It is hypnosis. It is so many things. And I think, and I have personally become overwhelmed by how much is out there, how much information. And I think when people get overwhelmed, they realize how mind-boggling this is. Then they just get scared of it and dismiss the whole thing. And then it's witchcraft. Yeah, that's my thought. Yeah.
Would you say that witchcraft has changed your life?
Yes. It's given me such gratitude. So, because one of the ways that I practice, one of my through the years, has been nature. Okay, and nature has been a consolation. Nature has been a teacher. Nature has been healing. So, yeah, witchcraft has definitely changed my life. And it's also so much more acceptable to say, I'm a scientist.
You're going to come out of the closet as a scientist.
Yes. We need more scientists coming out of the closet as witches, though.
What would you say is the biggest motivator in your practice, and has it changed since you first started out?
Yeah, the biggest motivator in my practice is knowledge, gaining knowledge. And in fact, I'm a certificate junkie, not just witchcraft, but I will learn anything, and most of it, since it's science, it's witchcraft.
All of life is applicable to what we do.
Absolutely. I mean, there was a time, so when I was an editor, I also did some search engine optimization. So I got Google certificates for Google Analytics, for Google Tag Manager. I have been getting certificates my entire life. In the last 6 months alone, I have updated my CPR certificate. I got a safe driving certificate, and I updated my food service certificate. I also attend workshops like crazy. I just learn as much as I can. It's all science. And all of it contributes to my witchcraft.
That makes sense. I approve.
Yeah.
Is that different from when you first started out?
It is. I was, I embraced the pieces like meditation and so on that were going to help me personally. And then when I saw that growth, I learned that I could be intentional about that growth. And so I pulled in the different sciences as I needed them.
Cool.
Yeah. So, I'm not a traditional witch.
What is?
Exactly. You know what?
So what does that even mean?
That is an excellent. So, Kim, tell me, what is your definition of a traditional witch?
A traditional witch?
Yeah, or a witch today. Mine is obviously based on
the way
science.
I interpret it.
Yes,
I accept I accept things that I don't know. I call myself atheist because I don't know. I don't think. I work with Jupiter and I work with Hecate. I don't necessarily believe they're gods or deity. I do believe that they're some sort of energy / being that will work with me if I can get their attention.
Guides. I like to call them guides.
But I don't consider them deity. I don't know that I believe that exists. But anyway, that wasn't what you asked.
But it's kind of fun because it's sounding like yours is based on science too.
Yeah, everything is made up of atoms, which are made up of energy. If I can find a way to get atoms to do what I want, people will call that witchcraft. That's fine. People probably thought magnets were witchcraft back in the Middle Ages. So.
Exactly.
I'd find ways to get things to do what I want. That's witchcraft.
Good. Absolutely. And look at my notes. What does that say?
Yeah. Exactly.
Energy begets energy.
Like freaking Einstein, who makes my head hurt a lot. But whatever.
Well, that would be my other question for you then. And this is one that I would love to see listeners also respond in the comments.
Me too.
Because this is a question so when we're talking about witches as science, there are a lot of great scientists in history. Which of those, and I'll give you one example for myself, but which of those do you think was actually a practicing witch?
Oh, maybe
Well, maybe
Tesla.
not practicing, but I think because they were scientists. So in my case, my favorite scientist / witch, Leonardo da Vinci.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I was thinking
Because
Tesla.
he's a great one too. I was also thinking Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
let's hear what our listeners have to say.
Yes,
I'd love to see what the comments have to say.
Message me. I have a Facebook page, I have a Facebook group. It's called Hive House. If you go to my website, crepuscularconjuration.com, click on that link to join Hive House. Come have this conversation.
Absolutely. But you got to say that slower because I didn't catch it.
crepuscularconjuration.com. It will be in show notes. Plus, I'm going to send you a link to where you can find the podcast.
Good. Perfect.
This episode.
Yep. Nice. Yeah. So what famous scientists also practiced witchcraft?
Come answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is your biggest struggle in your practice?
Yeah, the caricature, the stigma, that, and in fact, I had a guy at the gym a couple weeks ago. I identified as a witch, and he was like, "Oh," and I said, "No, I'm not the caricature." And then,
do you even believe in Satan? Because that's what they like. Ugh.
Yeah,
you worship the devil.
Yeah. Oh, what was so funny in a follow-up conversation with him? I said, you wouldn't know which if you saw one. He says, "Oh yeah, I can identify him." I'm like,
yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I bet you have gaydar too." This entitled white older male who it's just an authority on everything.
Yep.
But that's what that is. But that caricature is the hardest thing. No, I don't have a cauldron, although I do love to cook. and I keep my broom upside down because then it doesn't collect as much dust.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, and that's what is also, I think, overwhelming for a lot of people is that there are so many crossovers in things. Like metallurgy includes those magnets, but those magnets are also included in electromagnetic. Mm-hmm. So there's so much crossover, and that's actually the fun thing about being a witch, because we are drawn to, about being a person, we're drawn to certain things. Like I've never been a crystals person, but I like herbs, I bake. So it's really nice because you can make it your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do I have here?
Do you feel like you ever have imposter syndrome about your practice? And if you do, how do you beat it?
Not so much. I don't really, because I really believe that each is an individual that we get to choose. And so I'm comfortable with my choices. I'm comfortable with the avenues, the scientific studies that I've chosen to concentrate on. So, no. As a witch, I don't have imposter syndrome. Often throughout my career as an editor, I've felt people often don't differentiate between an editor and a writer. And I was always on an editorial track. I was never on a writer track. But people would identify me as a writer, and so I would have imposter syndrome in that respect because I wrote, but I wrote for myself. I wrote my journals. I kept my writing energy separate from my work energy, which was editing. So when people would identify me as a writer, I would feel like, well, no, I'm not. And I never was a good writer. Actually,
but you are a writer.
I am a writer, but I'm an editor. An editor is not a writer. I don't try to...
You can be both.
I can be both, and I have been both. But if I'm going to focus my energy, I was going to focus on editing.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I never had that whole ego thing of seeing my name in print and I have to write so that I can, publish, and I never had that. So editing was a good thing.
Yeah, I don't want to do either one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, my name is in print. I have written a number of things. I, co-owned a magazine and had to do a lot of writing for that. So I've written through the years. It's been a steady thing, but I don't really identify as a writer.
That's interesting.
Until recently. So 2022 into 2023, for 14, 15 months there, I was living in Bullhead City. And I had and I was writing for the county weekly. not the local daily, but the county weekly. And I would write 2 to 4 pieces a week for that. And I feel like that was some of my best work, but it took me, 30 plus years of editing to get to that point. But yeah, I've always felt my writing was sufficient.
That's good,
Until that point when I was able to, come out of my shell a little bit. But I should actually talk about my journey because my geographic journey.
Okay.
Geography, yay, another science. I was born and raised in Detroit, and as we speak today, this is 2024, and I haven't lived in the Detroit area since 1992. But until now, here in Arizona, I've always been near bodies of water.
Mm.
So Detroit, I was Detroit River, St. Clair, Lake St. Clair, which is not a Great Lake, but probably should be. So always grew up in the Great Lakes. In the 90s, I lived in Boston, so I was right on the Atlantic Ocean. And when I went back to Michigan, I didn't go back to Detroit, but I was close to Lake Michigan. Then I spent a couple of years in Chesapeake Bay. And then Washington on the Snake River. And then there was the Colorado River, both. So for about 3 years there, I owned a motorhome. And I towed my little car around. And so I spent 4 months living and working at the Grand Canyon.
Nice.
On the Colorado River, right? Then another 4 months on the Colorado River in Yuma. Another 4 months on the Colorado River in Bullhead City. And this is actually the first place I've been without water.
It's really weird.
It is. But it's really fun, too, because I've come to appreciate it so much more.
Yeah.
I was saying earlier how nature is a big part of my practice. Forests. I miss forests.
The sound of the wind in the leaves and
the
branches.
trees.
I miss that so much.
Which is why monsoon season just makes me so excited.
Yeah, but there aren't enough branches to make the sound I want.
Right. But what's neat though too is that in my motorhome, and right now I live on the 3rd floor, so I have vaulted ceilings. I can hear the rain on the roof.
That's nice.
Yeah, in the motorhome, I was in the weather. It was just so cool. And I am appreciating here in the desert, I think, so there was one of, and it's happened in Yuma, because, when I was on the Snake River, that was in Washington, at the Grand Canyon, it's a higher elevation, so you have more greenery and forests, ponderosa pines and things. It was really Yuma that introduced me to the desert and the lack of water. But there was, and I had gone out for a hike one day, and it rained, but it was that soft desert rain. So I was like, well, I'm not going to stop. I don't see any lightning. Mm-hmm. It's not like I'm in a tornado, right? Which I have been in. So I get through my hike, and I'm not soaked, but I'm, a little bit wet from, But the landscape around me, as I breathed it in, that desert air so good. After a rain.
Y'all, if you have not experienced it, you're missing out. And it's not, I know, what is it, the thing that, there's a word for it. I don't remember what it, petrichor. I know you've smelled petrichor before, but it's not like in the desert, I'll tell you.
Right. It's more of, and someone said something about, it's all science, but terroir. So it's a wine term. The flavor that the grapes take up from the land that they're on, and each land is different. And the same with the desert. That smell of the desert comes from those living organisms in the soil, which has its own, science to it.
And creosote.
Mm-hmm. And creosote. It's just, but it's a wonderful, wonderful smell. And until you've smelled it, you can't imagine.
I didn't get it.
I didn't either until that day when I was caught in the rain, and then the smell came up around me, and it's magical. It is glorious.
It didn't rain for like a year after I moved here to where I was like out in it and could smell it. And then one day it did, and I thought, oh, this is what everybody's been talking about.
Exactly.
It's so neat.
It was so funny, too. There was a time, so in Bullhead, right around monsoon season, and Bullhead is about as dry as you can get dry. Bullhead is gets hotter in the summer than Tucson does. Bullhead gets hottest of anywhere in Arizona.
Ugh.
Right. And I remember as the monsoon season started coming, it came in heavy this one year. And another witch, she worked out at my gym, Katie, practices Reiki. So it had been raining for probably a few days, and things were starting to green up, and it was gorgeous. And we were having this conversation in the gym, and I said, "Oh, I'm just loving this." And she says, "You're welcome." That woman, that witch had manifested that.
Oh, good.
I know. I was so proud.
What's something you did early in your practice that you don't do anymore, and why don't you?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because I've maintained a lot of my practices, that I don't do anymore. Because meditation I've done. They're just, I guess what would be a better question is, what have I tried and given up along the way? Okay. So crystals, I did.
Yeah,
I've read a number of books about them.
I like looking at them, but
but I can't tell.
I don't get any results from
rose
them, really.
quartz from a pink amethyst or whatever. I don't know. And I've
the
also,
Mohs scale,
right? And yeah, and
words,
then there's
the science words.
And there's auras, like I said. Oh, there's a great book, The Illustrated Aura, and it's this person who could draw, thank goodness, but also a very highly practiced, I guess, practitioner of auras. And she could see them at will, pretty much. You know, she could turn it off. Like a lot of people turn off and on the spirits. They could tell the spirits to go away and shut up. Well, she could say, "Well, I'm not looking at auras today," and other days. But she had a healing practice of examining auras and giving people things that needed healing and healing avenues and so on. But she was also an artist, so she has this illustrated book, and I wish I could remember the name of it, or even her name, of auras, and it's just fascinating, and it made me want to read auras, but then I dropped that practice. So there are a number of things like that I have looked at and studied, but haven't really practiced.
Have you gotten your aura photos done ever?
No, not yet. Because that's what electromagnetic fields again, right?
I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's all they are, energy fields. Mm-hmm.
What would you say is your favorite tool? And it doesn't have to be a physical object. It can be like a smell or a theory.
Meditation, easily. My favorite tool. And there's a great app, Meditation Music, I think it's called. And it has probably 3 or 4 dozen different soundtracks that you can meditate to. And there's a great range of them. There are some that have very deep resonant tones for the times when I need some centering, some grounding. And then there are others that are very uplifting when I'm just in a good mood. And so it's a great, meditation has definitely been a foundation for me.
I should do that.
So, yeah.
I know. And everybody that comes on, I always say I should do that, but I very rarely do that.
Well, and that's the thing with science, with witchcraft, is we get to choose what we focus on. We get to choose what suits us best. We get to take care of ourselves. And that's a big part of my practice, is taking care of myself. And that's been, meditation does that mentally. I've been in therapy, so I've had that therapeutic, that traditional therapy. Fitness has been a huge part of my life, taking care of this shell that I've been given in this lifetime. And so, fitness is huge, and physiology, the biome, the human, even our skin and the microbes that live on us.
The fact that we're just a million atoms of bacteria that could just decide they don't want to be us anymore and leave at any moment. I hate that.
Exactly.
I hate that.
But then you've got that whole...
What if they decide they don't want to be me anymore and they just leave? What happens to my consciousness?
Oh,
I don't like that.
That goes on. That's called energy. That's just an
like
energy field. And it's going to happen
How am I supposed
eventually.
to eat a cheeseburger if my atoms just scatter to the universe?
Well, and it's going to happen eventually.
Oh, eventually, yeah, but like...
Well, they're not going to, because...
if my body doesn't stop and they decide to. I don't like that.
And, anatomy and skeletal structure and nerves.
Calcium channels.
Yeah.
How did they even figure that out?
I know, isn't that great?
No,
Scientists.
I hate it.
It's science, though.
I hate not knowing things.
Well, you could learn it because they have answered it, and that's the other cool thing about science is that the answers they're not changing; they're just growing when we learn more. Because there was one time there were scientists who were called witches because they said the Earth was round. I mean, that was science. That has been proven. And through the years, like chaos theory is a great example because even though Edward Lorenz kind of came up with it, because it's chaos, because there's so many moving elements to it, other people that followed after him came to the same conclusion using different data points. And that. And that's what science is. Science is changing the information when your information changes.
And still proving it.
Yeah. It's or expanding upon it. It's not that science was wrong. Maybe the flat earthers were maybe wrong, but the science was, the Earth was still round.
You deal with the fact they exist.
Well,
currently.
They're such a joke. It's such, and
I can't.
they're right up. They're right up there with the anti-vaxxers, which is, again, we're going to go into science for a minute and biology because, so the anti-vaxxers, they say that the vaccine causes autism. Now, autism, let's go into a little bit of background history. Autism pretty much didn't exist 100 years ago. So,
the term, maybe.
Right. But it didn't exist as it does today. What's funny is that, as I learned alongside these anti-vaxxers that they felt that it caused autism, I was like, well, maybe it does. They're saying there's, one of the inert elements in the vaccine or something, blah, 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 whatever. So say that it does, or say that it doesn't, and then what could be causing autism? Well, they have found recent, and again, this is that whole linear thing. Science learns something and expands upon it. So science learned at one point, fairly recently, within the last 20 to 25 years, that our biome, our gut, when the microorganisms in there are out of balance and out of whack, and the ones that need to be doing the work aren't there, that it impacts our entire overall health. Mm-hmm. Okay. And there's actually a nerve. This is so important to our anatomy that there's a nerve called the vagus nerve that runs from that gut biome in the stomach straight to the nerves in the brain. It's just a single circuit. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. It's a single circuit. And this biome is often upset, is thrown off track by frequent courses of antibiotics. So when your kid has autism and you don't want to vaccinate them, are you also one of those parents who demands a doctor gives your child antibiotics? Is it really the vaccine? Or is it the antibiotics? Because a lot of times when they then correct the biodome and they get those organisms in there that are supposed to be, the symptoms of autism decrease. It's science. I read it.
And I'm going to switch subjects again.
Let's do it. Yeah.
How do you pull
You're
yourself?
You're going to edit this, so I don't care.
How do you pull yourself out of a magical slump?
Boy, I'm going to go back to that meditation.
That makes sense.
And self-care. I'll go to the gym. I'll have some tea. I'll go on a hike, go sit in nature. Whew, that's an easy way to pull myself out of a slump.
Yeah. What is something you wish was discussed more in the witch community?
Science.
I mean, yeah.
Science. Yeah, I guess I don't, not so much discussed, but I wish that there wasn't the stigma. So I wish that everything were discussed because discussion erases stigma. Bringing that to light. I mean,
I wish there weren't closets.
Mm-hmm. And closets actually, well, they hurt. It's really bringing it out of that closet where you find your true freedom as a witch.
And a person just as a whole.
Right. Yeah, because actually most people are witches and they don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whether they...
I think everybody has the capability to manipulate energy. They just
either
call it something else or they are busy on their phone.
Mm-hmm. I manifested a car show once. When I was living in Bullhead, Mount Hualapai has pines and cool and forest and wonderful. So I would go out there at least once a month. But on my way to and from is this town called Kingman, the county seat. Mm-hmm. And one day I was passing through, I was going to the mountains, so I hadn't quite gotten to Kingman yet, but I was going to have to pass through it. And I thought, you know what? I could really use a car show because... You know, you can take the girl out of Detroit, but you can't take Detroit out of the girl.
I was thinking you don't really look like somebody would be interested.
So I get up to the mountain. I have my nice little hike. I'm coming through Kingman, and there's a car show. So I said I manifested a car show. Well, the thing is, too, what was interesting, and I did cover Bullhead more, but when I was writing for the county. Kingman's the county seat. What I covered, I had done everything else. I didn't want to do police or crime. I didn't want to do city hall. I didn't want to do government. So all I covered were nonprofits and events. So the fact that I didn't know about this car show in advance
is a thing.
Yeah, because I knew about all the events. So yeah, yeah, I manifested a car show.
So think about the 3 biggest influences on your practice. It doesn't have to be people. It can be a book or a theory or a song, whatever. Thank them for how they affect your practice.
Oh, thank you, forests. Thank you, trees. Thank you for running water in forests. Thank you for mountains. Thank you for nature. Thank you for your peace, for your healing, for your guidance, thank you, nature, would be the first one. And I did write those down, didn't I? I guess elements of nature. So thank you, nature, for your continuous teachings, for teaching me how wonderful the desert smells after the rain.
Yes.
Thank you for teaching me that in nature, I could probably build a fire. Mm-hmm. Thank you, nature, for your rainfall. Oh, one of my coolest experiences I was inside a tornado without realizing it.
No, thank
or within not inside it, but okay. So I experienced.
Don't want that.
So I was on a hike. I was in one of my favorite parks, Peace Park, outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
I'm so glad you didn't say it was here because I was like, please don't say Arizona.
No, it would, but lush, wonderful park. I knew the park really well, and I was in it and doing my walk, and the wind started picking up, and I'm like, big deal. I'm a hiker. What do I care about some wind? And it started to rain a little bit, and I'm like, yes. I put my hood up, and I had some rain gear on me. Started coming down a little harder. I'm like, well, I'm halfway into my walk. The car's pretty far. I might as well just get wet. So I take my time getting out of it. I get back to the car, turn on the radio. Yeah, tornado just came through within 5 miles of where I was. But again, thank you, nature, for giving me that experience. and just allowing me to be safe within it. Oh, that would be another place that I appreciate. The safety of libraries.
Mm-hmm.
They're just, they're accepting, they're safe. I was in one yesterday. It was on a computer. I got in there, I got all set up, got on the computer, and at the next 2 stations over, there was a lot of stuff. Someone was obviously there. And he was gone a good 10 or 15 minutes. And he came back and he sat down and he says, everything's here. That's what I love about the library.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm grateful to libraries, childhood. And what would be the third? Do I have a third for that I'm grateful for my practice? I guess it would be water. Again, grew up on the Great Lakes, lived on the Atlantic twice, lived in the Great Lakes twice, rivers, Snake River, the Colorado River was a big piece. I lived on the Colorado River in 3 different places: Grand Canyon, Bullhead, and Yuma.
Yuma's on a river?
It's on the Colorado River.
Is there actually water in it, or is
there
it just a dry bed?
No, there's just there's water in it until it hits the Mexican border, and we cut off Mexico.
Of course.
It historically. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I feel the same way about that. But yes, Yuma is on, and there is water in it. I did visit it a number of times.
Nice.
And
I don't know how that water would be.
Yeah. But the cool thing about Bullhead too was not only did it have the Colorado River, the Davis Dam was right there, which is the southern end of Lake Mead preservation, the whole system. Because Lake Mead is more north, but between Lake Mead and that dam, Davis Dam, there's Lake Mojave. And I was 5 minutes from Lake Mojave, which was wonderful. And then I was only an hour north of Lake Havasu, because there's another dam there.
Now here we are with no water anywhere. Maybe you can find it at Sabino Canyon if you're lucky.
Yeah, well, and again, that was all part of the Colorado River system. Lake Mead, Lake Mojave, Colorado, Lake Havasu, those are all part of the Colorado system, Colorado River. Yeah. Here we have rivers. I guess watersheds. I guess that would be the third thing I'm grateful for is watersheds.
That makes sense.
Love watersheds. Yeah, I used to use in D.C., the Sligo Creek watershed, used that a lot, as well as the Potomac.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. And then the watersheds up through the Shenandoah, because I did a lot of hiking there. And here we have the Rito, the Cañada del Oro, and the Santa Cruz. And they do have water at certain times of the year. I spent a lot of time when I lived in Pinal County, right on the border, and the Catalina Mountains. Catalina State Park, I was up there all the time. And I remember when the first times I went up there, it was dry because it is most of the year. But I looked at it and I said, you have water in you sometimes, don't you? I'm going to come back when you have water. And sure enough, I came back a couple months later and I'm hiking. And the coolest part about it, I'm hiking and I heard the water before I saw it. Oh, that was like music.
Mm-hmm. That's a good sound.
Yeah. So Catalina, Sabino, I've heard the water in both of those. Also Mount Lemmon, which I'm looking forward to getting up into again this fall or this season. And I have. I hike. I get into the mountains at least 3 times a month. Probably
That's
4 or
good.
5. Yeah. And I've been doing that for years. Getting into nature. That's why I appreciate nature so much. It's just accessible and accepting.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, and people always do also, they go, aren't you scared? Aren't you scared? And I'm like, no, see, that's where they dump bodies. That's not where they
What are you
go
gonna
to
be
find
afraid of?
bodies. I mean, sorry?
Of people or like...
Yeah, they think because I hike alone so much. They think...
That is a concern of mine, honestly.
Oh, well, it's not. Well, 2 things. One is there's too many people out there, especially Sabino. You can't even find a parking place some Saturdays.
That's true.
There are just too many people. The other is that people who are intent on hurting someone if they're that angry, if they have that much anger and that much
Probably
hate,
not hiking Sabino Canyon.
well, they're not, but that's a good point. But the point is they're also going to take it out on the people closest to them. They're going to do it in their own homes. Most violence happens in the home. So I'm not in my home, I'm out in the nature. The other thing is that those people are going to commit that crime, commit that violence in that home. They're not going to find some stranger on a hike. You know what they'll do for that? They'll take that body that they created, that dead person that they created, and they might take it into the wilderness, but they're not going to seek someone out in the wilderness in order to hurt them.
What advice do you have for somebody just starting out?
Trust yourself. Trust yourself. You're going to know what interests you. You're going to be taken into whatever direction you need to go in. The things that you need to learn will show up for you. Trust yourself. Mm-hmm.
So after you've talked to me and seen what it's like to answer these questions and how I respond to them, who do you think would be interesting? Who would you like to hear from on the show? Who should I have? Who should I ask?
Who should you ask? I can't think of any person in particular, but I would go to scientists. I would go like to one of the departments at, Pima Community College has two strong, they have a dental school, and I would want to know, I would want to ask the scientists, the dentists there, like holistic practices, what they know of history of dentistry and how that has progressed through science. The other one is culinary arts. Again, how does science impact that? I mean, you've got temperature, and these people are teaching children, teaching students this science. And how do they present that? Obviously, they don't present it as science, but do they see it as science? And so I guess I would want to see scientists and their witchcraft.
Is there anything else you wanted to bring up? Any questions that I didn't ask you? Any questions for me? Or do you have anything going on with you that you want to have people that you want to promote?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, I am Seamstress Juliette, and the same group where I met you. Oh, no, that was the Hustle Hour, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, but in the same space, the Ella offices on River Road in Campbell, there's a second and fourth Thursday networking group called The Group. Their next meeting is this coming Monday, December 9th at 4:00. I am presenting, as a seamstress, the life cycle of garments.
Oh, cool.
Now again, this is something, nature. Throughout history, we have worn clothes. Throughout history, we have put these things on the human body for warmth, for decoration, for other things. And today's clothing industry is just nothing like historical, and it is part of it impacts the environment. It impacts humans because they're being exploited. Mm-hmm. Within the garment industry globally, only 2% of all garment workers are paid fairly, a living wage, not minimum wage, because don't get me started on minimum wage and living wage, but so 2% globally actually earn enough to feed themselves and their families. 98% of garment workers are exploited to the point where they can't feed their families. So this life cycle presentation that I'm going to be giving will, talk about those impacts, the environmental impacts. For example, a pair of jeans can take, including growing the cotton, can take 80 gallons of water to produce. The impact on the environment, landfills. Oh my goodness.
There's pictures of all clothes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The mounds of clothes at landfills, because there are actually sometimes when, and this happens regularly. This is not, one-off thing, but this is at the end of most, clothing seasons. The producers, the manufacturers actually end up dumping brand new truckloads,
obnoxious.
truckloads of brand new clothing into landfills. It's so that's
that so much.
So on Monday, December 9th at 4:00 at the L offices, I will be presenting the life cycle of clothing.
Cool.
Yeah.
So the last two things I ask of guests.
Mm-hmm.
Thing number one is recommend something.
Meditation or nature. Absolutely. Books. Right now I'm in the whole clothing book thing right now, so I don't know what's out there metaphysically. Any movies that I can think of? There was one. Paul Stamets is the leader of this, psilocybin group. And he's got a couple of, he's really fun to follow because he does the time-lapse photography.
Oh.
And mushrooms, mushrooms, you can get a whole mushroom overnight.
Yeah.
And so he'll do a time-lapse.
Yeah.
So
he's so satisfying.
Yeah, he's very fun to follow. That would be a good recommendation. Just, read what interests you.
Mm-hmm.
Each individual witch/scientist is going to have things that speak to her, and trust yourself. Yeah.
The last thing is, please tell me a story.
A story. So I regularly run in the morning, and I, especially since the pandemic, I couldn't go to the gym anymore. So I have run watersheds in neighborhoods. During the pandemic, I was living in the D.C. area, so Sligo Creek Watershed. I was running that. When I lived up in Washington, I had the Snake River, that watershed, and I ran that every morning. Winthrop in the North Cascades, I ran that every morning. Bullhead, I actually had a gym by the time I got to Bullhead. Yuma, I ran in the morning. But my favorite run of all of them was Winthrop in the North Cascades. I got to cross 2 rivers using 2 bridges, which are just really near and dear to my heart. And I also got to pass an ice rink, and I'm looking forward to the ice rink downtown Tucson in a couple of months.
Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you. Instagram is last name, first name. So Instagram is COWALLJULIETTE. That's where you see me post a lot of my hikes. You'll see me post a lot of my sewing projects. And then the other one, you can contact me directly. I'll give you 2 ways to contact me directly. One is Seamstress Juliette at gmail.com. So that's Seamstress, SEAMSTRESS, Juliette, JULIETTE at Gmail. LinkedIn.com/in/Juliette Kowal.
So link will be below. Make sure you go click it.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye, thanks.
Okay, but Juliette, welcome to Hive House.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I forgot my cards. Aw,
How did you come up with the Hive House name?
Conversation. You know how Lady Gaga has followers that she calls her monsters?
Okay, yep. And Swifties. Taylor has Swifties.
Everybody has their little thing. Mine are the bees. I don't remember how that takes sacrament. The body is bread and the blood is wine.
Mm-hmm.
What foods are sacrament for you?
Oh my.
If I was taking sacrament, what would it be for you?
That is so tough because it's all of them. Because part of my science of fitness is the science of nutrition, and you need all of them.
To hear more of the members-only episode, head over to crepuscularconjuration.com. The monthly magic tier will give you access to the monthly Magic Marco Polo group, the private Facebook group, and access to the written monthly spells. There's also Crepuscular Conjurations, giving you bonus podcast episodes, coloring pages, guided meditations, spellcrafting videos, printable downloads, and a lot more. The free Witchy Wonderment level will give you a little sample of everything I just mentioned. You can also visit my shop, Clever Kim's Curios, to get spell boxes one at a time or by monthly subscription, intentional handcrafted jewelry that I make especially for witches, and handmade altar tools. You can even listen to the full Your Average Witch podcast library, including show notes and transcripts. Check it out at crepuscularconjuration.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of Your Average Witch. You can find us all around the internet on Instagram at Your Average Witch Podcast, facebook.com/groups/hivehouse, at www.youraveragewitch.com, and at your favorite podcast service. If you'd like to recommend someone for the podcast, like to be on it yourself, or if you'd like to advertise on the podcast, send an email to youraveragewitchpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next Tuesday.